Hello, everybody. Thank you again for tuning in to another amazing episode of Sheen Talk Live. As you guys know, it is Mental Health Awareness Month. If you know anything about me, you know mental health is my jam. I play a crazy lady on the internet, but in real life, I do value and embody the importance of a healthy mind. So today we have a very special treat. We're going to be talking to the Alphonso Nathan, okay? This is the therapist of the culture, okay? So you guys are in for a serious treat. If you are reading this or looking at this video, we want you to leave any questions that you have for Alphonso in the comments as the discussion continues. We can't wait to respond to you guys. Obviously, it's a pre-recorded video, but we'll make time for you afterwards. Thank you so much for joining, Alphonso. How are you?
I woke up this morning, so that's a blessing in itself, A lot of times people forget about that, that waking up part. But I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. This is amazing.
Likewise. And you know what? We're so excited at the magazine to actually get to sit down and speak with someone who's on the front lines of mental health and healthcare, especially a male. Obviously, as the mental health space continues to cultivate and may or may not be a little bit trendy at the moment, we know that we don't see a lot of males in the field. Yeah. So before we dive into anything, can you just give us the meat and bones of your specialty and how you actually decided to be a mental health professional?
Absolutely. My name's Alphonso Nathan, also known as Fonza Therapist. I'm a licensed professional counselor, vice president of private practice, Brightside Counseling, as well as the co-owner of a psychiatric practice, Brightside Medical Associates. Been in the private practice since the age of 25. I was very blessed to be able to do so at a really high and high quality level. I've always been a listener and I've always gave great advice. And there's this quote that I live by the name of, from Pablo Picasso. And he said that the meaning of life is to find your gift, but the purpose of life is to give that gift away.
Give it away.
Yeah. So, and I was able to find my gift early, and I just had to figure out what did I need to do to be able to give it away to the world. And, therapy is one of the best ways to be able to give that gift away. Being part of a boarding school for underprivileged youth called Milton Hershey School allowed me to know that interventions can change lives. So I'm a big believer of that. So I live, breathe, and eat mental health.
Love it. So one of the things let's talk about the stigma really quickly. Absolutely. For those of you who have heard the term and the stigma to mental health, in the cycle, in those generational traumas, can you deep dive a little bit into kind of your understanding of interpretation of how the stigma actually happens? Like, I feel like we were in Africa very open and transparent, and then something happened.
well, I think something big happened, right?
Other than the obvious thing that happened, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, for generations, that generational curse of being able to keep things in and not being able to express yourself, especially not only for Black people, but for Black men. And, Black men, we're a population that needs therapy the most, but we actually seek it out the least. And that's because of, the thought of thinking that expressing yourself is a form of, demasculinity.
Offense. Yeah, or vulnerability. It's a form of, almost like it's offensive.
Yeah, they feel like it's weak. Showing weakness on, expressing yourself, but in reality, it's actually the opposite. It takes a lot more strength to be able to express yourself. But if you're taught, if you haven't seen, your mom, your grandma, your dad, like none of them really, taught you to express yourself. They told you to kind of just man up, sweep it under the rug. We'll pray about it, and that's what happens. That's why we saw such a negative cycle for so long. Mm-hmm. But now we're going to see a big change, and I'm very happy to be on the forefront and the front line of that change.
That's a spiritual gift. It really is. And I say that just because being involved in and around the industry, it's kind of a thing where I literally, just to tell you guys on the live, I was inviting someone to a group therapy. It was a men's group. Yeah. And I got this whole speech about being a lone wolf. And I don't even know where wolf came from. Like, it was like, wait, what? A wolf? What are you talking about? He didn't like people in his business. He didn't like the things. Like, people have really cultivated a laundry list of reasons and why they should not go to therapy. So, go ahead.
The thing is, we were taught to, be okay with suffering. So suffering in silence, because that's what we've seen and that's what we've learned about. And so that's all we know is, to be able just to deal with everything by ourselves. But that's changing. That's changing.
Yeah. So from your experience in working with Black Men Heal and the multiple other organizations that you work with, have you seen a bit more openness to men coming into therapy, Black men specifically?
Now, absolutely. I just think that there wasn't a platform that men, felt comfortable being able to express themselves. The pandemic was a gift and a curse, because the gift was that, it slowed everything down. The curse was that it slowed everything down. Now you have to be with your thoughts. Now you have to be okay with thinking about the traumas that happened to you years and years ago. And platforms like Black Men Heal, the Boris Henson Foundation, the Coma Project, shout out to Dr. Alfie, who's running the Mental Wealth Alliance, which is an amazing platform as well. All these things are springing up, and now men are like, okay, maybe let me try this out. And when I talk to my brothers, the first session is so powerful because it's just like an unloading.
Yeah.
They feel that, man, I needed that. And no one ever really asked me if I'm good, if I'm okay. And that's a really powerful statement, that so many Black men tell me.
Wow. That hurt my soul in a really big way, because I think that, like you said, asking a man if he's okay, there's one way to do it. There's a way to just be like, are you good? And don't really have the attention to want to know more, or really actually get down to the meat of if they're okay or not.
Yeah. And a lot of our men are not okay.
Yeah, no, but you know what? I'm not going to say nobody, that's a blanket term, but quarantine did something. And I liken it to a seasonal depression extension for 24 months, right? It feels like it just never stopped.
I agree. It really affected us. One, because, there's a correlation between vitamin D deficiency and mood, right? And if you're inside, you're not getting the vitamin D from the main natural source, which is the sun. And us as Black people, we're naturally vitamin D deficient.
Yeah.
And so now we're already low on that, and we're not getting replenishment. You're going to feel just real crappy. And if you don't know about that, you start to associate into different things, from the pandemic, from the people that you're stuck in the house with. So it's
those people.
It all goes together. It all goes together.
So my last one of my really most important questions is, you're an advocate in the field, you're a professional in the field, but how do you plan to reach people who aren't like us, who work within a space, who don't, subscribe to Charlemagne and those fancy cool people, or Taraji, they don't watch Taraji's show on Facebook? How are we going to get to those people now?
Yeah. So what I'm actually doing is I actually created a docuseries called Healing the Culture. And what it is, it's kind of like being a fly on the wall of a therapy session. Myself and some influencers, some sports figures, some people who have a familiar name or familiar face. And it does a couple things. One, it allows you to know what therapy looks like.
Mm-hmm.
because the majority of people who, like a lot of people who don't go to therapy because they don't know what it looks like. So it's that fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
So it lets you know what it looks like, lets you know what goes on in a particular type of therapy. But it also allows you to know that these influencers are also human and they go through the same things that you're going through. You know,
Yeah.
I have an influencer, a sports figure who was a former Seattle Seahawk and a San Francisco 49er. And we talk about, you know, life after sports and finding a new identity. And so many men who identified as an athlete after they stop playing, they don't know who they are anymore.
Yeah.
And that's a very, very lost feeling. So, you know, I think when people see this type of docu-series, it will also allow them to be okay with maybe seeking help, and just checking in. I think everyone needs to check in. I do it. You know?
Yeah, check on your strong friends, like they say. It's so ironic how catchy things become, right? But it's a true statement. It really is. You should check on your strong friends, but now it's kind of cliche to say.
Exactly, because it's just like it's the cliche thing. Like I'm gonna pray for you.
Yeah.
It's just saying it, but actually doing it, checking on your strong friends, doing a quick text. Hey, you're all right. You know, a lot's been going on. I just want to check in on you. You know, you're helping everybody else. You know, I'm just checking in to see, you know, how you're doing.
Yeah.
And sometimes those words that's all is needed to maybe, you know, that your strong friend to be able to go to therapy or just check in with themselves to see, am I okay?
Yeah.
There's so many people who've lost their lives because they felt no one cared about them, and they just felt that everyone wanted to use them.
Mm-hmm. So tell me about this docu-series. How many episodes is it? I love a documentary, by the way. It's my favorite thing ever. It's the easiest way to learn. Like I mean, you can learn on podcasts, but a docu-series, that's how you get smart, people. Okay.
Absolutely. So right now the good part is that you know, right now we have three episodes that have been filmed and already done in production. We have a slew of influencers and people that are ready to have a sit down and it being recorded and documented. So right now we're teasing the first three, and you know, I can't say where it's going to be because you have to make sure the contract has to be signed.
Okay,
So,
okay. I was gonna kind of poke you a little bit, but I understand paper. I get that. All
yeah.
right.
So, but you know, definitely look out for the updates on my Instagram at Fonz the Therapist, PHONZ.
So, another way to learn, obviously, as we all know, is books. A
Yes,
little birdie told me that you're working on one. Is that a fair assessment?
that is a very fair assessment. I'm doing so many things, you know, which I believe is such an important.
Yeah, Fonz, are you okay?
Thank you for asking me that.
You're welcome.
And I am okay.
Good.
I check in a lot with of a therapist, a male therapist, Jay Barnett, great individual, as
Mm-hmm.
well as my wife really helps me out so much. You know, she's a strong woman, strong, beautiful Black woman.
Yes.
I want to put that in there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's the book, the book that I finished writing and promoting. It's called Not Worth My Energy, and it's a guide to overcoming stress, anxiety, and understanding your true potential. Um, we have to realize, you know, we all have a certain amount of energy in our bodies, some more
Mm-hmm.
than others, but it's our job to delegate that energy to things that are good investments. So you put your energy in your job and your craft, you get a good return back by keeping your job and getting better at your craft, and
Mm-hmm.
not putting energy to things that are bad investments like unnecessary conversations and emotional vampires. Those are people who've been negative for so long, they suck the energy from you to fuel themselves,
Yes,
right?
succubus of life. We love those people
Mhm.
and
Exactly.
never see them coming.
We never do. So what I'm trying to do, because not everybody can be able to have a one-on-one session with me.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to provide avenues to give my knowledge to people in any way. So from the docu-series or from the book. And the book is kind of like being in a therapy session with me, like how I would be able to introduce these topics through stories, through just great discussion. And it's very informative. It's an easy read, and I'm super excited for people to to read it, but also listen to it because it's going to be on audiobook as well. I'm gonna send you a copy. Well, we'll have Tanika send you a copy.
Oh, yay, awesome. Okay, so Not Worth My Energy, you guys. So can you give the viewer something that, say, for example, is not worth their energy, other than the vultures and the vampires?
Other than an emotional vampire. So I give an example. Let's just say 30 years ago, I told you to invest $10,000 in Blockbuster Video. You'd be like, absolutely. Blockbuster Video is an amazing investment because it's
going up.
It's going up, right? But if I tell you to invest $10,000 in Blockbuster Video now, you look at me like I'm crazy, because you have to realize not everything, that, had, a value back then kept its value over time. So what I do, I have people play that energy stock market, right? You have to check every single day who and what deserves your energy right now, because a lot of people hold on to jobs, to people, to situations because 10, 15 years ago, it really helped them out. But for those 10, 15 years after, it's really been sucking them dry. So providing that awareness is so key to really help people out. And that's why I give it in this book. And it's a lot of great, I'm not going to spoil everything, but
that was good. That was good.
Absolutely.
I love the stock reference, though. That definitely, it definitely resonates with a lot of people. We're in a day that we had a lot of time to bone up on crypto.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So you check, I check my stocks every day, just to see how things are going, especially my personal ones, the ones that's in my portfolio, I check it once in a while, but the ones that I'm actively investing in, by myself, that I'm checking it all the time to make sure that it's going to continue to give me a good return. Why not, it be with people and situations, because your energy is the most valuable thing for you. Yeah. And so not everybody should have access to that value. Not everything should have access to that value. So I try to help people understand their true value, and hopefully this will help out, so many other people than just people that's just seeing me in my therapy sessions.
So I know you're already a busy person, so I'm not going to keep you forever. However, I can talk to therapists all day. Again, my thing. So, we live in a very interesting time, obviously. Do you feel like even the media is doing mental health professionals a disservice when kind of omitting us from the conversation as it relates to mass shootings and crazy things that happen in grocery stores and hate crimes, etc.?
Absolutely. I think that mental health professionals need to be in every topic.
Yeah.
But the key word is mental health professionals. What's happening is, I talk about this, these mental health swindlers, that they are individuals who really don't have a mental health backing, and they overstep their boundaries and try to give advice and give expertise outside of their scope of practice. And because mental health is trending, we're seeing a lot of these swindlers, being in the forefront and just talking about mental health, but they're not really in that the background. They don't have the background for it. So I think that it's important to look at that, not only for obviously the current event, not only for the shooter. I think we need to look at it for the victims.
The victims, the people that were in the store. Everybody is in, the people who are watching the news or actually caught the Twitch feed. Like, we are
absolutely, we're
kind of getting too much.
Yeah, and it's always a concern. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing, to try to help out as many people as possible. I think the whole world needs help, and it's everywhere. So we can't ignore mental health. But we also can't, on the flip side, we can't make that as an excuse for heinous crimes.
That part.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. So I appreciate you for answering that, because you answered that truthfully, and that was the real answer, you guys. Like,
yeah, that's facts. I wouldn't never.
It's interesting. It's an interesting space. But so lastly, I want to do something really, really fun. So decode the clipboard therapist from television and tell me what a Black therapist really looks like from your perspective.
Well, I'm living proof, baby. So decoding it, I mean, what I look like, I'm a person that understands, you know. I always give an example of, you ever been in a party where the majority of the participants don't look like you, and you're just chilling around and you finally see that other Black person across the room, and what's the first thing you guys do? Give that head nod, like,
Heading that up.
yeah. And that head nod is an understanding of 300 years of that connection of we understand. I don't have to overly explain the situation. I don't have to overly explain anything, just from that head nod. And me being a Black therapist, talking to Black people, that head nod is so important because they don't need to overly explain to me why they may be a little bit more stressed today after, you know, a mass shooting, or being stressed, you know, after a George Floyd murder, or being, anxious after being stopped by the police, because I understand. So that's why it's so important to understand how representation is such a key and important factor in every field, but especially in the mental health field.
I dig that. So to wrap up, I hope you guys understand that Healing the Culture docuseries is going to be, you're going to have to look out for it and follow Alphonso on his Instagram. Tell him the IG again.
My Instagram is Alphonso Therapist, Phonz, the therapist, right? Yeah. On Instagram, you can Google me, Alphonso Nathan, Brightside Counseling, Brightside Medical Associates, Alphonso Therapist, everywhere.
So your practice is based in what city?
We're based outside of Philadelphia.
So if you are in the Philadelphia area, there's a waiting list that you can get on. And Brightside will be happy to serve you.
That's why I'm doing the book. That's why I'm doing the docuseries. I'll answer as much as possible, because not everybody can unfortunately have access to me.
We could talk about access all day. Like I think we should definitely have a part 2 for this interview, because there are so many layers in the mental health conversation that we didn't get to touch on, but we really think it's important that you guys are looking out on the horizon for Healing for the Culture, and as well as Not Worth My Energy, because there will be things that you just might not have the answer to. And a professional like Mr. Nathan is definitely going to be a really good jumping off point. That's one of those gifts that you give to people that you just know have a tendency to pop off at the club when you go out with them.
Exactly.
This is the gift to those people who don't know how to notify their face in business meetings.
That's right. That is right. It's for everybody.
It's for everyone. So I want anybody that is watching right now to take away from this conversation that your mind is important, and the way that you feel about yourself is extremely important. And there are professionals like Mr. Nathan that do care about you, that you don't have to code switch for.
That's facts.
They'll give it to you exactly the way you're comfortable with receiving the information. And like I say, we're decoding the clipboard therapist. I don't know a Black therapist in the United States that uses one.
No, I
don't know a single one.
There's a I don't even know I have a clipboard around.
Yeah, they got journals. Don't get me wrong, we got journals, okay? There's journals of therapists, all of that is a thing, but the clipboard, glasses, buttoned up, Harley Quinn before the Joker acid, that's not what you're getting, okay? So Mr. Nathan, I thank you so much for joining today. As I stated, we're definitely going to do a part 2 with access to mental health care and transitional therapies and all those heavy, meaty things that people don't know enough about. I'd love to get in talk about those things too. Again, this is Laura Miller of Sheen magazine. As I said in my most recent interviews, this is not the most recent edition of Sheen magazine. This is just the one I wrote.
Oh, wow.
So this is why we're showing this one. But if you're interested in the Women of Media issue, go ahead and grab that. You'll see Kathy Hughes and Angela Yee. It is a dual cover edition. Those are out right now. The next issue, I believe, is coming out in about 5 days. So stay tuned, watch out. Follow the Sheen magazine on Instagram to get more information on that. I am Laura Miller Pence. This is Mr. Alphonso Nathan. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Awesome. That was